Everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoteric and our continuing series, Sega Racing Renaissance, where I review every single 3D arcade release racing game Sega ever put out in a retrospective fashion. And today we're taking a look at 18-wheeler American Pro Trucker. We've already looked at King of Route 66, the sequel to this game, and I did it in reverse order just because I felt like it. But as good as King of Route 66 is, 18-wheeler American Pro Trucker is like 99% as good, and depending on how you look at it, you might think it's actually the better of the two games. And I am playing the Dreamcast version on this. It's what I own, and I figure it's the way that most people would play it, even though this did come out on NAOMI. It got a port home as well. But right off the top, it's what you know and love, the same thing as King of Route 66, except they changed the shifting button, so I accidentally hit reverse there because I had played King of Route 66 directly before. I will say this game plays it way straighter than King of Route 66, though. It is less arcadey. That's not to say it's not arcadey from start to finish. This definitely isn't an 18-wheeler sim whatsoever, but you don't have as big and bold of graphics or presentation or even driving style than you did in King of Route 66. It's up to you to decide whether or not that's a good thing, a bad thing, or you don't really mind too much. But just like King of Route 66, this is just trucking arcade racing, and it's an absolute blast to play, and I love that you get alternate paths pretty much all the way across the board. Now you will see in this instance of this game, you can hit vans that give you 3-second time bonuses. Each round in 18-wheeler is going to last longer than a round in King of Route 66 did. And I actually prefer that because some of the areas in King of Route 66 felt like they actually didn't take enough time to complete. And I love the branching pathways here, going across the sand, feeling that handling difference and having your rig slow down. And you will see to the right of the screen at the bottom as well, we have low gears and high gears, and you do need to manually switch from low to high depending on if you're at a certain speed or if you're going up or downhill. So it's actually a little added layer of mechanics there that you need to deal with. But we've hit the goal and we have about 8 seconds left. I will say, compared to King of Route 66, this game is much more stringent on its time requirements. There's going to be some areas in this map where I roll across the finish line with absolutely no time left to spare on fumes. But just like the previous game, we get our load and we need to take it across the country. And again, it's just a ton of fun, except damn it, why did they have to move that gear button on me? You can do third person here as well without needing a convoy like the previous game. And it's just, again, classic Sega arcade racing. They do it better than anybody else. The sense of speed, the physics, the body roll and sway of this 18-wheeler, and the fact that the levels where you have a trailer, it controls differently than when you do not have a trailer on the back of your rig, is a huge bonus. It kind of feels like almost two games in one in some spots. And you'll see there, these shortcuts are only shortcuts if you take them well. You're going to slow down here. You're going to be plowing through these covered bridges. It does take some time off of you. So you need to have almost a perfect line to make these shortcuts work. And you'll see another plus 3-second time bonus van coming up there. If you see one and it's not too far out of your way, you're going to want to hit it, because without that we wouldn't have made that previous checkpoint. You need to be on your toes when you're playing this game and when you're trying to beat your rival. One mistake and you're not going to have enough time to finish the level, or one mistake and you're not going to beat your rival into the depot. But I love, again, because it's a trucking game and you think of the, kind of Americana, what's more American than a twister just coming through and tearing everything up. And I love that we're basically racing not just our rival, but this twister. We're trying to get in between everything going on while this is tracking down the road, and it finally goes our way right when we're almost out of time. This game is constantly showing you something, making you do something, and making you worry about something, and you'll see there after all that sense of accomplishment when you roll into the depot with 3 seconds left on the clock is absolute perfection. I love it. You do get some small mini games as well, just for score bonuses. You'll see here we have 23 seconds left to park this 18-wheeler in the garage. Although they tell you it's a garage, I actually find it funny. It is just a highlighted space on the road. Not a garage whatsoever, but if you park it in the right spot, you get a little bit of a bonus. And this game, kind of like King of Route 66, the soundtrack is decent. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but go ahead and listen for like 45 seconds and I'll come back and talk more about the first game in the series. Enjoy!
Welcome to the Sea of Sand. This song is our way of wishing you happy sailing.
decent soundtrack, but I will say the engine effects are quite nice. But when we talked earlier about the high-low shifting, we are going up a hill and we need to be in those low gears, and we're trying to avoid boulders at the same time. And they do a good job physics-wise, understanding where you're supposed to be in high gear and low gear, because now that we're going downhill, we're going to have to get back in that high gear, else we're going to end up over revving the engine, which is exactly like a manual transmission on an 18-wheeler. Probably does works like that in a car, and I can't imagine there would be that much of a difference there either. And it will give you some warnings to shift now and again. You see there's a little time truck right there. We'll pop it as we go by and merge back onto the highway. And graphically, I love this game. It looks really good for Dreamcast, and it looks even slightly better on NAOMI. But I love they even give you that little feather in the window there, just to kind of show you how momentum works in the game, and that magazine that slides back and forth across the dashboard. It's just a ton of fun, and visually, it's not as arcadey of King of Route 66, but it looks really good for what we have. And you'll see again there, I just rolled into the end of this area with absolutely no time left on the clock. I did make a few mistakes, but if you're racing relatively well, you're going to see the ending of the game. Now I'm going to let this last area play from start to finish, because this is the last area in the entire game. And I will say one thing about this. If you buy an original copy for the Dreamcast, there's not that much there. I remember getting this game as a kid on Dreamcast because I played it in the arcades and I was super excited about it, but I beat the game in like 12 minutes and there's not a whole lot else to do. Back then me was upset about it. Today me would buy it and be absolutely happy for those 12 minutes because my priorities are changed. But if you don't own this game, maybe check it out via emulation first before you decide to drop the money on it, because it might not have enough there for you to enjoy, because obviously you just race an opponent across the country, making sure you're getting that dump trailer from one end to the other. But it's just classic Sega. Sega did these games better than anybody else could, and I do consider them the king of the arcade racing genre. Namco coming in close second in quality, but nowhere near in quantity. Sega made so many incredible racing games, and 18-wheeler American Pro Trucker is just one of them. But I do like they were constantly changing the vehicles up. You know, you have stuff like Daytona with stock cars, you have Scud Race, things like that that are using vehicles, you have motorcycle racing games as well, and I just went off the highway completely, which is pretty hilarious. But I like that they went with 18-wheelers because it's so American when you think about what an American audience might be interested in. Driving a big rig definitely makes sense. When you're a kid and you're on the highway trying to get truckers to honk their horn, there's always this weird fascination with the 18-wheeler and that trucking way of life, and you get a little bit of it here. Obviously you don't have to take a shower to rest stop, and you don't sleep in the back of your car when you're playing, but it is still all that fun. And I love that at the end you get back into a city with San Francisco here on the hills. Kind of feels a little bit like Sonic Adventure 2, except you got to go fast in that 18-wheeler. I do wish you got a little air off of these hills though, and that is something that this game doesn't give you that King of Route 66 does. There aren't really any jumps, there aren't any super arcadey cutaways to a 3 camera angle showing what you're doing. But the core racing mechanic that is here is absolutely 100% sound, and it is just so much fun to play this game. You can see my rivals in my rearview mirror right there, and he is getting in front of me. We're getting so close to the finish line, and I have a couple of these trucks to pop off to see if I can get that. But even down to the bitter end, we are fighting tooth and nail to see that finish line, and because I am drifting and he had to merge outside of that tanker truck, I was able to take the checkered flag every single race and get to the other end of the country with the W. And that's all that really matters when you're playing a racing game from Sega or anybody else. Are you having fun when you're playing it? It doesn't matter that it only lasts for 12 minutes, because those 12 minutes are action-packed from start to finish, and they just leave you with a smile on your face. But that is 18-wheeler American Pro Trucker. It is the first in the series of games involving 18-wheelers from Sega, and we've already done King of Route 66. Leave me a comment down below. Do you remember this game from arcades? Have you played it? And do you own it on Dreamcast? Short of that, I'll be back next Wednesday with another episode in our Sega Racing Renaissance series. I'll have videos throughout the week as well, but yeah, maybe I'll stop making videos and become a professional trucker. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.